All right, we did it.
We did it.
We're going to get
Welcome.
better and
Yeah,
better every week, I promise.
this is a process. Welcome to the Women Conquer Business Show. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by
Shelley Carney.
Shelley Carney. Here we
Woohoo.
are.
Yeah.
And today we're going to talk about how to find the right marketing tools for your business. But before that, how are you?
I'm doing pretty darn good. I feel good. Getting out and about. We had a wonderful panel yesterday, and amazing people showed up for it. So that was exciting. Toby and
I don't mean to brag. I was one of those people.
Oh, you absolutely were. You were one of the most important people. Right there, top center. So we loved that. So people, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go check it out. We talked about marketing. I should say they, because I wasn't able to be there, but they talked about marketing strategies for 2022, really important stuff. And we'll make sure to put that link in the show notes so that you can go check out all of the great marketing experts and the advice that they offered, and especially Jen.
Absolutely. And thank you. And it was a great panel, lots of dynamic thoughts. And a lot of what we're talking about really is where we think digital marketing is going in the future. And
Mhm.
one of the things that came out recently is Shopify's new commerce report.
Mm.
And they've become a real thought leader, whether, some people may not even know what Shopify is. It's an e-commerce platform. It's great for small businesses. It's where you can sell things online. It's been around for a long time, and it's rising as the anti-Amazon. It's kind of the other place to sell stuff, especially for independent creators. And I read a recent interview with the founder, and they're going all in on helping small business owners and founders. And so they put together all kinds of e-commerce reports, the future of commerce, the future of retail, all these different reports based on the data of what's happening. And I know that Shelley knows because she's been, streaming on Amazon. And last week we talked about things like shoppable posts, which means, people can interact with the posts that you have, or they can shop, while you're talking on whether it's Pinterest TV or, any of these different platforms, Amazon and the different platforms. And the reason why we talk about all of that stuff is because we have had explosive growth in how people do commerce since COVID. Have you seen it, Shelley, where how we buy things, how we engage with companies? There's been a significant shift in that
Mhm.
just since 2020.
Mhm. Well, I know, for instance, Toby, he he got on, he's on Amazon Prime, he's on the Walmart, you pay once a year for all of your deliveries, and he orders almost everything to come delivered to his home. My kids are on, this subscription for, certain products that they use all the time, like paper towels and toilet paper and those, consumables. They're on a subscription service now, and they're, as they talk about it more and more, we tend to go, oh well, we should do that too, and we should do this too, and that makes sense, and then we save time, and eventually you save money as well, because you're getting the lowest price available for those products. So these are some things that people are gravitating towards, and even people in their 80s are finally saying, okay, how do I buy stuff on Amazon? Because I'm not finding it at the stores anymore because of the supply chain issues, right? Because the store
Yeah.
shelves are emptying out and they can't find the things they need. So they're finally saying, help me get on Amazon and buy this thing that I can't find anywhere else. So yes, it definitely is bringing us all online.
Absolutely. And so what we have seen, and then when we take it into the small business context, it's like, well, how do you can't really compete with Amazon in that you're not a huge Fortune 500 company. So that's one of the challenges that you have. And
Mhm.
yet, as we have seen, and digital marketing, digital transformation, how we buy things, which is really the context of those words right now, has shifted so much. Whether it's how you interact with a local restaurant, or how you get goods and services, how you get your groceries, all of that. If you look as a small business owner at that, you can see that it has changed significantly how you engage with things has changed significantly in the last couple of years. That's my
Mhm.
guess. And the
Yeah.
reason why is there has been 10 years of growth in e-commerce alone
Mhm.
since the pandemic. Now, what that means is when everything shut down originally, everybody was like, okay, now what? What do I do? And there were all these plans. Like one day I'm going to, and this was Fortune 500 companies. That's part of why we saw it shift so quick. They had all these plans for things
Mhm.
that they were going to do in the future. They're like, oh, the future is today. And they started doing it. So that accelerated it initially. But now I think that when we're looking at Shopify's report, what we can see is it has now come into our space, which is more of the small to medium sized business space. And we're like, okay, what do we do? And so I will tell you, and I have the report up. We'll put the link to the report in the notes as well. What I can tell you is that it means that if you, as a small business owner, aren't putting up your products, if you don't have products available for people to buy online, then you are a little behind the curve, and now's the time to definitely do it. And that's because customer expectations have changed. So when you say an 80-year-old Shelly can go out and they're going out, they feel comfortable to go online and buy stuff, then why wouldn't your customers who are likely not in the 80 plus demographic, why would you not offer the same thing to your customers?
Yeah. And there are ways to take much of your business online, even if you're a personal business where you have to go into somebody's home. Say you're remodeling homes or something where you do a service at their homes, or you have to be in person to do your work. You can still take a lot of your business, your prospecting and your marketing and all of that, and put that online, so that it frees up your time, and it
Mhm.
gives those people the ability to find you online, which is where they're looking.
Absolutely. And I think that, in my work as a consultant, I do help people who are like dry cleaners or acupuncturists, people who have a location and people need to come to them, or like in the case of a landscaper, they go out to the location. And I can tell you that if you're thinking, well, I don't really know how I could interact with people online or how I could get people, a lot of it comes down to, well, what is that thing? A lot of times people have, they get a quote or they need to schedule something. For me, when I go to interact, if I'm going to a new service, I mean, I'm lazy. I don't want to call you and schedule an appointment.
Mhm,
Like, let
mhm.
me schedule online,
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
And so sometimes it's just as simple as, finding a scheduler, providing some sort of framework of a quote, and then you're capturing a name and email address, and then you can follow up with that person. Um, and really, when we talk about like how people buy from you online, the thing that I tell people over and over again is your website isn't a treasure map. It's a treasure map. You tell them the treasure for every page. It's not a scavenger hunt,
Oh,
meaning
I see.
that you're not, like Shelly, you do like geocaching and finding treasure. Your
Mhm.
website absolutely should not be like that experience because people don't have the patience for that. People
No,
have
they don't.
like 10 or less seconds to engage with you. They're not
Mhm,
trying to really like figure you out.
mhm,
So when it comes to making it easy for people to buy from you, when it comes easy, when you look at things like, okay, everybody's shifting online, everybody's buying online, I don't even know how to do it. What I tell people is the first place to start is, okay, well, how do you get people now? If you're an in-person business, and then think about, okay, how can I make the online experience a reflection of this in-person experience? And because that's your gold standard right now. That's why people are coming to you.
mhm.
Then you work to make that an experiential thing, because the biggest thing I think in marketing is really the customer experience.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, and it's not only the most important thing, it's a thing that you gotta focus on it because it's the one thing that's gonna keep bringing people back. You wanna retain, you wanna nurture, you want them to keep coming back so that you can develop a relationship with those people and that trust, so then they wanna spend money with you, they wanna spend time with you, they wanna know more about you and your business.
Yeah, well, and the best marketing consultant in the world isn't answering the phone. So you can have a lot of flashy marketing, but if the nuts and bolts of it in your business don't match up, then that disconnect is could be the big failure in your marketing,
Mm,
if that makes sense. So it's not just what your website looks like. It's like, okay, so you've asked them to take action. They took action, and then it just fell off a cliff.
mhm.
Like, so it
Right,
is about, like, what happens next.
right.
And so those are some of the basics. What Shopify really goes into are kind of the statistics. So if you need proof that people are buying online and you need to see what they're projecting based on hundreds of thousands of transactions, hundreds of thousands of customers, all of that, then I really encourage you to look at the report. They go in depth around, the future of retail. It's interesting, the future of e-commerce if you're building an online business. And then to your point, Shelley, they're also talking about the shipping challenges that are occurring now and that those may continue into the future, and then how you as a small business owner can navigate that as well.
Yeah. And did you have a graph for that you wanted to share, or is that for, later?
Let's see. Uh, I don't really know how to do that. Oh,
Yes,
look at
you do.
that.
See,
I
you're
do
so
know how
smart.
to do this. Sorry for those of you listening, we're trying to navigate what this looks like for me on StreamYard. So this is a really big report. They have videos and all kinds of things in here. So one of the things that you were talking about, Shelley, is the cost of there's been all these breaks in the supply chain.
Mm,
And then it's also they go into even things like, and it might help you as, as consumers as well. Like the cost of freight, the
mhm.
freight container has gone up. Like it looks like just exponentially from less than $2 for a container to over $10. And if you
Wow.
look at that at scale, that's a pretty big jump. Um, and so it's a great report because it's really encouraging people to really look at the obstacles as opportunities to make yourself a little bit more agile as a business so that you can really facilitate um, navigating this really uncertain world. So I would say anything that you implement, be prepared to make a shift on that, and that will really help you in the long run. But yeah, they go into, so then you can break into each of these. One of the things that I thought was really interesting because we talked about it last week is if you look even just at this little detail here on the future of e-commerce, they talk about, deepening relationships directly with customers and then using things like live shopping, which is what we were talking about last week with
Mhm.
Pinterest TV, Amazon Live, and your Amazon Live stream that you and Toby do, and even going into a lot of different ways that you can really engage with people. And I think that one of the things that is really important, and I think that you'll agree with me too, Shelley, is the idea that building a community is really a key
Yeah,
to how we need to navigate this
that's right.
world.
That's right. Well, and we've even seen that on, Amazon Live, where people who have large audiences, it's a lot of times it's the same people over and over again, and they show up. The person who's doing the live is calling them out by name, saying hello, glad to see you're back again, and they have that relationship going on.
Mhm.
And they have a newsletter. They say, sign up for my newsletter, and we've got more great information for you there. And they develop this multi-layered relationship with people that started off with just somebody was scanning through Amazon for something and saw this person talking about that item they were interested in, and now suddenly they have a whole relationship and a whole community that they can relate with, based on we both like that one thing that we bought.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
these things don't have to be hard or complicated.
Mhm.
You know? I mean, one of the reasons why I took Shelly up on the idea to do a live stream at the same time that we do a podcast is because I think it's a way for people to engage and ask questions, which by the way, hi. Are
Yeah,
you I haven't gotten any questions yet, but maybe they're coming. But it's a way to kind of deepen these relationships, going online, doing live video, really talking about things and engaging with people. That's one of the ways to really that I wanted to deepen my relationships with people, not just Shelly, but like everybody, and really speak to people. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about. That's one of the things I really encourage people to do. And I think that one of the things that both Shelly and I believe is it doesn't have to be hard.
Well, yeah. I mean, everything's a little hard and uncomfortable at first, but you do it a few times and you get more comfortable and it becomes a lot easier and it just becomes a part of what you normally do, your routine, and then you're ready for the next thing.
Yeah, it's just baby steps, man.
Yeah.
It's all just baby steps. And getting support and collaborating with people who can help you. And that's I think that's really important too. So,
Oh, yeah.
find people that you appreciate and trust and do things with them. And it's
That's
really
right.
important to get out there
Yeah.
and do that.
Yeah. It makes life more fun, makes the journey more worthwhile.
So that is our breaking news that went on
Mhm.
for a long time. Sorry about that. But this is a really shifting market. Things are changing all
Yeah.
the time, and it's
Yeah.
probably something we'll talk about a lot. And do you have any breaking news?
I do not. I mean, other than, you know, I'm gonna add on just tack on a little bit to that. If you're in a small business and you're like, "I can't keep up with the big guys. I can't keep up with," for instance, Amazon. We have discovered, and we've been talking about this a lot this week, that Amazon is like a small house that wanted to become a castle. It's the Winchester House. It's got a lot of, added on things that you can easily get lost. And like
Mhm.
Jen was talking about, it becomes a scavenger hunt. You can't find what you're looking for. I remember seeing this somewhere, but now how did I get there? And Toby and I have had to grab links and put them all into a document. This link goes to this page because we would find it once and wouldn't be able to find it again. It's a mishmash. And as a small business owner, you can stay on top of that. You can streamline
Mhm.
your website to make it user friendly, and you can outline the steps that take people through that journey and keep it very simple, and that's going to help your customers not to feel overwhelmed and confused, and a confused person never buys anything. So
Mhm.
so
It's
keep that
true.
in mind. You
Yeah.
can keep up. uh, the big companies do have a disadvantage that you can take advantage of. Yeah.
Absolutely, and yeah, I was the one who called it Winchester House.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you liked that. So,
Yeah.
there was this lady in San Jose, and she just kept adding and adding and adding onto her house, and there were doors that led
Mhm.
nowhere, and,
Mhm.
when I worked in, you know, when I worked in tech and building applications, we had one application that we all thought was just Winchester House. You couldn't get in and out of things easily, and it was really hard for the people who worked in customer service, and so yes, with Amazon, you can't you can't navigate that easily, I'm sorry. So you might not be able to beat Amazon in terms of traffic, in terms of, reach or any of those things, but you can beat them in terms of customer experience. And I think
Mhm.
that that is really what to focus on. Just don't try to compete with keywords that they use because that's not gonna that's not gonna fly either. But you can make it really easy, and that's how you get that groundswell of support
That's right.
and people who keep coming back. And the small business owners, that's really what we're looking for, I think.
Mhm. Alright.
So that was good. Look
Yeah.
look at
So
us.
we
Look at
move
us
into
doing the things and going.
let's move into the training and advice, because the whole reason I do this show is to get, uh, Jen to give me training advice. I'm ready for it. Today, we're talking about marketing automation, which is one of Jen's, um it's her fort. It's her fort. Some people call it forte. Toby calls it fort. So I'm like, it is the thing that she is known for, and the thing that I love about her, because she's just this wealth of information when it comes to marketing automation. So let's get into that.
Yeah, so today I really wanted to talk about the basic steps, the most important things that you need to do to find the right marketing tools for your business. So, What happens a lot is we're like, things aren't working right, or it's not doing what I want it to. And then
Or it's taking way too much
or it's
time.
taking way too much time. And so what we do then, what do we do? I think a lot of people go out on the internet and they try to resolve it.
Mhm.
Is that what you think, Shelley? Does that
Yeah,
one of the
I think
steps
I think we try to piecemeal things. "Oh, this
try
is
to
a free
piecemeal?
app, let me try that." Or, we do a lot of trying, and,
Right.
we're not finding the exact right fit.
Or and this is one of my least favorite things, and yet I see a lot of people do it. The other thing that people do oftentimes is they go out on social media and
Mhm.
they ask like the hive mind, like,
Yeah,
what do you do? And they get a lot of tips
yeah.
or hot advice from their friends, to which I say misery loves company. Just because they use it does not mean that they like it. It does not mean that it's meeting their needs, and it does
Or
not
that it's
mean that
right
it's
for you, even
or
if
that
it's
it's
right
right
for
for
them.
you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you do find a lot of people like me who are trying to sell you something. Now, I don't go in there and do that.
Mhm.
I really try to like guide people kind of through this process, really. But a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people go out online. It's like, tell me what marketing tools I need. What are you using for email marketing? Like, I see that a lot. And
Yeah.
you get like 100 things. That's not helpful to you as a business owner when that happens. So there are a lot of things that are external that I think we all do when we're trying to find the right marketing tools to run our business. And what I'm going to say, as someone who worked as a business analyst for like 10 years, and what a business analyst does is it's like we do business process improvement. And I did this at scale at an enterprise level. And basically, people are like, things aren't working right. Make it better, Jen. And I spent a lot of time, I was like that tech translator where people are like, well, this is broken. And then I'd go back to the developer and be like, okay, so they're saying that this is broken, and we need to fix it. And they're like, well, they should just hit this button. And I'm like, well, they're not going to hit that button. So like, let's make it better. So that's the background in this is, kind of understanding business problems and knowing that things can be resolved. And I can tell you from all of my years of experience that when we talk about things at big business levels, they're not necessarily going out and asking the Facebook, like, how to find the best program. That's just not happening. We may call other business entities or other jurisdictions, if it's a governmental thing. But a lot of times, what organizations that are successful are doing is they're looking inward at what's not working, and they're getting super clear. So the first step for how to really let me see if I can make this bigger. The first step for how to really make this work, is you get super clear about your business goals. That's the first thing that you really need to do, because if you're super clear on your business goals, um, you know, then you don't have to go into this awful truth, which is really that software is not going to save you or your business.
Mm.
It's not going to save you time. It's not going to save your marketing. And I hate to say that, but it's actually the truth. Software isn't going to make it better. Marketing tools alone don't make it better. Marketing tools are like a support system underneath your goals that really help you towards your goals. And I think it's really depressing and sad. And I think a lot of people don't want to hear that. The other thing, it's the whole system has broken down. So you really have to understand, your industry and your ideal customers. You have to know where they are, where they hang out, and then start to really dive into a lot of what's going on in terms of what the problem is and how you solve it. It may not sound like this doesn't sound super sexy. And you're like, what does this have to do with marketing tools? And the reason is if you don't know what your products and services are, and you don't know what it is that you're selling, who the people are, and even like where you want your revenue to come from, like the tools aren't just going to suddenly materialize out of nowhere. Because all of the marketing tools are built for different industries. They are built for different purposes. So for example, something that is really popular right now is a company called Dubsado. And it's a marketing tool that is supposed to streamline the back end of your business. Now, what a lot of people don't know is that most of the people who sing its praises are affiliate marketers, so they get paid if you sign up.
Mhm.
A, and there's nothing wrong with that. But B, that software was originally designed for photographers and
Mm,
creatives.
mm.
So what happens then is that if you aren't a photographer or a creative, you're going to find some things that are a little arduous or not as user friendly because it wasn't built for you or your business. So you have to be really clear about yourself, your industry, understand that some tools are just created for that, and what it is that you want to do and where you want your revenue to come from. So we're talking a lot about things coming from online. And if you want to have revenue coming from online, then you need to have tools that facilitate that, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the first step really is to get really super clear about your own business and what your goals are.
Mhm.
How do you want to deliver the services? And then also look at your past and forecasted growth. Like, how much are you going to grow? And what are your 3 to 5 year business goals? Because all of that really feeds into the types of tools that somebody like me could recommend,
Mhm.
and it's because, again, software is created specifically for a certain industry, a certain customer type, different business sizes, and revenue and business models. You know, there's no reason for someone to pay for HubSpot unless they are a medium-sized business approaching a large enterprise business. If that's not in your goals, then HubSpot is like too overpriced really for what it is. It's a great marketing tool and it can really stretch your budget, and it makes it really hard to integrate with things because it's based on people really who are using the enterprise version of a lot of different programs and systems.
Mm, mhm. So let me ask you this. Let's imagine that most of our audience is going to be people in their over 45s, and maybe they're small business. They're either a solopreneur or they just have a few people that they hire out for certain jobs. But mostly they're a small business owner. They own their own business. It's a service-based business. They sell their services. They help other people to do certain things. So let's imagine that. So on that premise, what is the first automation that small business owner, that entrepreneur should focus on and implement? And why would that be their first thing?
Their first thing. So the reason that we look at things like goals, the three simple steps are goals, budget, and business needs. So it's important to make sure that you're clear about your business goals, but then you have to also look at your budget, because those two things really dictate what the first automation really is. So to me, as and I have colleagues who say the same thing, you know, um, people talk about sales funnels all the time, but you have a sales funnel now. It is people come to you, they get to know you, and then they buy from you.
Mhm.
That's a sales funnel, basically. And your first one is how you get people in person. And so then the first thing that you can really automate is really how you take that process online.
Mhm.
Um, One of the things that every website needs to have is a way for people to opt in. So even just having a little subscribe to my newsletter in the footer of your website, that goes a long way. And
Mhm.
that can be your very first automation, and you find your email marketing platform by really looking at things like um, pricing, business goals, things like that, because even the email marketing software is a lot different. However, I will say that for most small businesses, most of the people listening or watching, it would be, MailChimp is a really solid choice. Active Campaign, really solid choice. You want to find something that integrates with all of the tools that you're using. And and use something that is big and established. A lot of people want to use things like Flowdesk, or they want to use even MailerLite. These are good products, but they're not as well established. And so, especially for people who are maybe not super tech savvy, you want to find something that's just going to work with everything, so you don't have to build all that infrastructure.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is make it easy for people to schedule with you, make it easy for people to subscribe to your email list. Those are your first automations.
Hmm.
And then you can start to get a little more dynamic after that. What
Yeah.
do you think?
I I agree. I think the first thing you need to do is establish your email list because, as we all know, social media can make changes every day, and anybody you connected with before, you may not be able to connect with again because they may change what platform they use
Mhm.
or not show up to that social media site anymore for whatever reason. So, as quickly as you can, you need to capture that email address and get them onto your list so that you can still communicate with them. That
Mhm.
is in a way that you have some control over. So I think yes, definitely that is number one is employing an email list provider such as Mailchimp. I started off with Mailchimp. We currently use GetResponse, but you want to find something that works well for you and that is easily fits into your budget, that you're not going to be struggling to pay for and is going to grow with you, and Mailchimp will do that.
Mailchimp will. Yeah. And Get Response is great too. It just depends on if it works with everything else. And for
Yeah.
you, it does.
Mhm.
So that means it's a good choice. And that's the thing. People get all wrapped up in like all of that. And it's like, well, if it works for you, then it's a good choice.
That's right.
And that's the same thing with like Flowdesk and MailerLite. If it works for you, it's a good choice. I'm not trying to not trying to dissuade you from it unless you have a problem that needs to be solved. And that's what this is. So from anytime you can get enterprise grade products that are also built for small business, that's a good thing. And that's one of the things about Mailchimp, ActiveCampaign, some of these tools, is that they're well established and they've been around.
Mhm.
The thing that you mentioned that I think is really important is when you talk about a budget, I think it's important that you not just look at it from a per tool level. I think every business, no matter how big or small you are, you need to have some sort of marketing budget. And even if that budget is 0, at least you've established it. And that's so important. Like, the reason Mailchimp comes up is because it's free for 2,000 subscribers. It's limited, anymore really with Mailchimp. The $10 a month option is where a lot of business owners need to go,
Mhm.
but you can do it for free if you don't have a marketing budget. And the people say, "Well, I'm too small. I don't need a marketing budget." And I'm like, "How many hours are you spending on social media? And how much do you charge per hour if you were actually helping clients?"
Yeah.
You're spending money right now,
Yeah.
even if it's only, quote, only your time, you're
Mhm.
spending money right now and you have a marketing budget. And what I tend to do with clients a lot is we go through credit card statements, PayPal accounts, and we try to uh, evaluate where all this money is going and
Mhm.
save people money. So I encourage you to go through your statements yourself quarterly,
Yeah,
periodically, so that you can save yourself some money, have that honest talk with yourself about what it is you're not using
that's
anymore.
right. That's right. And you gotta
Um,
figure out what's the important thing about, for instance, StreamYard. We are with StreamYard because it offers a certain set of features that we need and we've grown used to. Teams is one of them. You can't find Teams on pretty much any other streaming software, but they have it on StreamYard, and we've grown used to it very quickly, and now we won't give it up. So until somebody else comes out with that same feature, and we're not going to switch. When you grow to depend upon a particular feature of a product, then it's like every time you look anywhere else, you're like, "Do you have this feature? Because I need that."
Yeah, and that's the thing. when you find the things that work, when you come up with the system, then it's really important to not get distracted. And honestly, like, confession time, as somebody who loves software, this is like my downfall is I'm like,
Mhm.
it's avoiding that FOMO of
Mhm.
that's probably better, because every time you change, it has a ripple effect throughout your business.
Yeah.
So part of it is finding the right tools, the right marketing tools, especially for people like my customers who tend to not enjoy technology.
Mhm.
And that's the bulk of people out there. Understand that the reason you go with like an enterprise grade product that has a small business option is because of stability, and they will continue to add features, and it's not a company that's just going to go away.
Right.
And StreamYard is one of those companies that I don't think is going to go away. They continue to grow, they continue to improve, and they continue to add functionality,
Yes.
and that's actually the third thing is, so we have to establish our business goals, we have to know who we're serving, the industry, what are the industry best practices, we need to have a marketing budget, even if it's 0. We have to know what that marketing budget is. And then the third thing is really identifying your business needs. And this is another step that people tend to really uh, overlook. And I
Mm.
think it's overwhelming for people sometimes because they're like, well, I don't know the techie words for what it is that I need.
Mhm.
And that's the key is the good software companies, the good marketing tools, the good salespeople or marketing consultants, they don't need to hear you use tech speak to help you, period.
A lot of times, all they need to know is who are you serving? What kind of work are you doing? And they have enough knowledge of each of those industries, depending on what industry you're in, that they can say, now, are you experiencing this? And then they can go deeper into those questions and really help you define what it is you need. And I know Jen does that. And it's
Mhm.
basically asking the right questions and listening to those answers and then consolidating all that information into a solution.
Yeah. And that's really my bread and butter product is, helping like, okay, here's kind of, and it's like an alchemy of questions, what it is people need. And then as much as I have knowledge around a lot of things, it does require research to try and get there. But the thing that people overlook also, in addition to really clearly defining the business needs, like, and that means like what's working and what's not working. Like you kind of have to look at both, because you don't wanna fix something that's broken and then break something that was working great.
Mhm.
It kinda has to balance out, and one of the ways that we, as business owners, can really save ourselves a lot of headache and heartache and hassle is take the time, even if you think you don't have it, to really communicate with a software company before you really make a commitment. Um, Take advantage of the free trial. Ask a lot of questions up front, even if somebody has recommended it to you, or maybe especially if somebody's recommended it to you. Take the time before you invest everything into it or migrate all your data or update all of your systems and how everything talks to each other. Ask a lot of questions, test out the software. Is it easy for you to use? Is it easy for you to pass off to somebody else? Is it used enough that you could hire a VA who already has that skill set, um, or a marketing person? Take that time to kind of get to know the product or have your staff get to know the product, and you can save yourself thousands of hours and many sad tears.
What's the best way to determine if something is working for you, is the right tool?
I Wow. I think that for me, it is, there are certain things that we approach in our business and that make us happy, and there are certain things that we approach with a sense of dread.
Mhm.
And any place that you're doing double entry, any place that you approach it with a sense of dread, or you look at and you're like, I'll fix that next time, or you think it could be easier. Chances are those are the places that are that are breakpoints in in what it is in your workflow and in what it is that you're doing. So what I tell clients is to, keep a notepad next to your desk for all the times that you're like, you feel like there has to be an easier way to do this. And you just start to take some notes on those areas, and then we can talk about that and like how to make that a little bit better. But again, it doesn't have to be anything technical. It can just be like, client onboarding. I work with a lot of
Mm.
service providers. So if people are coaches or consultants, and they're like, well, there has to be an easier way. I have to go into like 3 programs to like send out emails and get clients on board. Um, it really is about just paying attention to what's out there, what manual actions that you're having to take, and how you could automate it in a way that doesn't make your business lose its humanity.
Mm. All right. Well, yeah, and sometimes it takes somebody who is not inside the business to be able to put eyes on something and say, here are the different here's what I'm seeing in your business. You have this activity, and then you have this activity, and then you have this activity. Uh, how are each one of these working for you? Where is the bottleneck? Where are you having issues? And then they can really hone in on what's not working, and how do we fix that?
Absolutely. And that's one of the great things about working with people is they also don't people don't realize that most of your dreams can come true when it comes to making your life easier with marketing tools. So we can make your life easier, we can make your dreams come true, but it comes down to how important is it and how much money do you have? Because anything is possible. It's just about the budget and how is it just a bell and whistle, or is this an actual like core function that you have to somehow overcome and make easier for yourself? And
Mm.
that's why it's so important to really as a business owner stand tall and firm in what your goals are, what it is that you need, and how much money you have. Because the truth is, working with people like me, we can make everything talk to each other and automate a lot of stuff, but you don't just automate for automation's sake. You do it for a purpose, and usually that's to get more clients, to make your back office operations easier, or help you, you know, save yourself a lot of time and increase your productivity.
Always important. Saving time, increasing productivity, freeing you up for the things that you love, where maybe that's working with clients, and
Yeah.
and helping them to have success. And the more time you can free up from, the drudgery of the things you do not like, and you can automate that, then the more time you have for the things you do like.
That's right.
Well, thank you, Jen, for that.
Was that a lot?
If you
Was that
people if you people
Whew.
if you in the audience have any questions, you wanna dive deeper into finding out more about, automation software, what would be the right thing for your business, do reach out. You can go to Women Conquer Biz and reach out to Jen there, and she is an expert at this, so that would be ideal. You can leave us a comment on the show wherever you find it, and we will get back to you and help you to answer those questions, and maybe even do a future show on whatever it is that you want to know more about.
Absolutely. And in the show notes, there's a really easy way to send us your comments and questions. I have a little, you can actually record it and like send it to us. It's like an audio recording. And I do have a freebie for this. I don't, to help you guide yourself through finding the right marketing software for your business. I need to get a link for that. So
That will be in the show
it
notes.
will be in the show notes. I don't have it off the top of my head to
That's okay.
to give it to you right now.
That's okay.
But it's a really easy way to like step through some of this stuff and really come up with a strategy that really works for you and your business, and it kind of gets you out of crowdsourcing for solutions.
Yes, yes, and because that's not always going to be helpful. somebody in a completely different industry uses something and it works for them, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So think about that and get the customized answer and solution that's right for you instead. So do we want to move into tweak of the week?
Sure. What you got?
Me? uh, yeah, well, um, again, I don't really have anything specific for tweak of the week. I have kind of a thing that leans into the next part, which is the inspirational. Do you have a software or technical tweak before I move into that?
I'm really interested in software right now called Paperbell. And like I
Is that
said,
paper bell, Bell?
yeah, it's one word, Paperbell.
Okay.
And it's a woman-founded company that is business coach software. So, as
Oh, yeah.
somebody who, like I said, I work with a lot of coaches and consultants. It's not just for business coaches; it's business coaches, life coaches, all different kinds of. I mean, Shelly, you're a life coach too, right?
Right.
So, I work with a lot of people in that field, and I'm really intrigued by this software because it's like a one-stop shop for
Mhm.
everything. So imagine that you don't have to go into your Acuity and you don't have to go into your Stripe and, kind of all over the place. It even is it's a hub for all of the
Mhm.
things that you need to do. You can create group programs, landing pages, digital downloads, all kinds of things in this one hub, and then also have things like your clients and your client notes in there. So I'm interested in that just because it seems like it could be pretty cool. I don't know.
Mm.
So I'm learning about that.
I've heard of it, so it has been around for a little while, long enough for me to hear of it.
Yeah, like a year, I think,
Mhm.
maybe.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Alright. And my little tweak is, like I said, moving into the inspirational end of things. It's more of a thought tweak, things you can think about and, align yourself up for the next week, and that is, concerning the law of reciprocity, and the law of reciprocity is one of those universal laws that we kind of know it's there, but we don't think too much about it. It's not as prevalent in our lives as gravity. You drop something and it falls, but it does exist. It is there. And when we can focus on it and have an awareness of it, we can employ that law of reciprocity. In other words, what we want to ask ourselves, what can I give? What can I give? What am I good at? What would be helpful to others in my world?
Mhm.
Just like when I asked Jen, "Can I help you get your podcast going again?" Because I enjoy her podcast. I want that information. I I love it. So I pull it out of her. I'm like, "So what can I give? I can give you the production half of that. I can give you the motivation. I can give you the support and the friendship that it takes to be here every week, to make it a priority and get it done." And what she brings to me in return is so much more because all I had to do was offer what I could do, what was easy for me, what I enjoy, and then she can respond with that reciprocity. So, think about who in your life can you reach out to and offer something that's easy and fun for you to do, and you can offer friendship, you can offer support, you can offer advice, you can offer what is it that you're really good at that you love to do that you can offer to somebody in your world, and open yourself up to that law of reciprocity. It's going to come back to you. Trust in that it's going to come back to you. Cast your bread upon the water and it will return. What you sow you reap. So all of these tell you, yes, this is a real thing because people have talked about it for centuries. And so participate in that by offering value.
So
That's
true.
all I have.
Yeah. And thank you. Yeah. Oh, that's a good way to end.
Yeah.
So I hope that this has been useful for everybody. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Shelly.
Yes.
And yeah, just keep being you, everybody, and and give, and it'll come back.
That's right.
Promise.
That's right. And thank you all for watching today. We hope that you will like, subscribe, follow, and reach out to us and let us know what you're thinking, and so that we can have a conversation. All right. We'll see you again next week. And I have our closing video coming up. I'm still doing this. And here we go. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again next week.